Regis and his team are excited to discuss his upcoming WBSS Super Lightweight Semifinal against Kiryl Relikh in Lafayette, Louisiana on April 27th. This event will be streamed exclusively on DAZN. After we hear from Regis and his team, there will be an opportunity to ask questions. To ask a question, you may press star, then 1 on your touch-tone phone. To withdraw your question, please press star, then 2. Please note that this event is being recorded. To begin the call, I would like to introduce Bernie Barmasful of DiBella Entertainment to provide the opening comments.
Thanks very much, Nancy. We were here today from Regis Prograis, the world ranked the #1 140-pound fighter in the world by Ring Magazine, by his trainer Bobby Benton, and by his manager Sam Katkowski. My pleasure now to turn it over to the president of DiBella Entertainment, Regis' longtime promoter, Lou DiBella. Go ahead, Lou.
Thank you, Bernie. Thanks for joining us. I wanted to get everybody on the phone in the press and chat a little bit about what should be a terrific card on April 27th on DAZN, the World Boxing Super Series semifinals. The show will begin on DAZN at 9 p.m. with a pretty good 118-pound matchup. And then at 10 o'clock Eastern Time, Regis will fight Kiryl Relikh. It's been a weird road getting here a little bit. The WBSS has had some challenges, and I'm really pleased, and I know Regis is pleased, that we are moving forward with the semifinals. There's a lot of talent still in this Final Four. There are multiple belts at stake. We'll be taking on Relikh for the WBA belt. Baranchek will be taking on Josh Taylor for the IBF belt. Regis has the WBC Diamond belt. And Regis' intention when we started this tournament was to get all those belts and to prove to everybody why he is the premier and preeminent 140-pound fighter in the world, which is what we believe he is. We do think we have the best fighter in the tournament. I'm fortunate to promote Ivan Baranchek, who's another terrific 40-pounder, and both these guys are going to get the opportunity to prove what they can do in these semifinals. The 27th is at the Cajundome. That's not right in Regis' backyard, by the way. Regis is from New Orleans and lives in Houston, but it's situated where people can take a couple of hour trip. There's an international music festival going on that week in Lafayette, so it's going to be a hopping week in Lafayette, Louisiana, and tickets are available through Ticketmaster for the Cajundome on the 27th. Regis finishes what he starts, and that's why we're still here going after what we were going after when this tournament began. To prove ourselves, to prove that Regis is the best. That's what he's been doing in recent years, building up his name, building up his reputation, and now he's putting everything on the line. We had a pre-fight weigh-in. Relikh didn't make the 154-pound limit. He was a little bit over on the pre-fight weigh-in. He's probably going to be the bigger guy and the heavier guy in the ring that night. We don't think that's going to matter. It's one of the reasons why we didn't bitch and moan about the weight. We just hope the guy gets in there at 140 pounds on April 27th, and I'm sure he will. He has a history of making weight. And I think on April 27th, you're going to have another belt around the waist of Regis Prograis. Regis, I'm going to throw it over to you, buddy.
Yeah, well, first off, my whole thing was, I signed up for the World Boxing Super Series because it is the best who fight the best. After the tournament, it'll be no doubt nobody's mind who the best is at 140 pounds. You still got other champions out there, but, they had the opportunity to enter into the tournament, but they didn't. And, and like I said, I did just because it is. You prove that you're the best. There's no hiding. There's no running around. You can't hide behind, with the politics and stuff like that. You can't hide behind the managers and promoters and networks. You have to fight people. You have to fight, and it's perfect because it's, single elimination. You lose, you out. You win, you keep going. So that's why, for me, it was important to stay in it. We did have some, at first, a lot of people had some doubt about whether the tournament was going to, was it going to continue or was maybe it wasn't. In my mind, I want it to continue. I was just real adamant about staying in the tournament and, you know, just staying, you know, and not pulling out because and I wanted to give him a chance. Of course, if it didn't happen and, you know, financial issues or whatever happened, then, you know, I couldn't do nothing about it. But my whole thing is I want to stay in it because I know I want to fight. And I got in the tournament because, you know, it was a promise of 2 belts, and that's what I want. You know, I'm not really chasing the names per se. I'm chasing the belts. I'm chasing the titles. You know, so that's what I want to be. That's why I'm in the sport, to be a world champion, and I'm chasing the belt. So in this tournament, they have 2 world titles. So, you know, that's why I joined. That's why I entered. You know, so I can, you know, go out there and really prove I'm the best, and not only that, pick up 2 belts at the same time, along with the Ali Trophy. You know, so you know, that's kind of, you know, my take on the whole, you know, World Boxing Super Series, and I'm glad now it's happening. It is in Lafayette. That's not in my, like Lou said, that's not in my backyard, but it's still in my home state. Of course, I'm from New Orleans, but it's only you know, about a 2.5, 3-hour drive from New Orleans, and same thing with Houston. So I think it should be a real good show. Hopefully, they promote everything the right way, and you know, I'm just ready to go out there and perform and do what I do. That's it.
Thanks very much, Regis. Also worth mentioning is Regis is in the first round of the World Boxing Super Series dominated former world champion Terry Flanagan on October 27th in his hometown of New Orleans. Regis' record is 23-0 with 19 KOs. This will be his first world title fight against Kiryl Relikh, who's the holder of the WBA 140-pound championship. I know you're on the phone with Bobby Benton, your trainer. Bobby, can you give us some insight into his training as we wind down here to the world title fight in 11 days?
Yeah, training has been great. Regis is focused as usual. And he always works hard. It's tough. Training camp's not easy. We've got great sparring. So everything's right on point. You know, we got a few more days of sparring, and that's it. We'll be ready to go.
And also to introduce Regis' manager, Sam Katkowski from Churchill Management. Sam, I know you've been with Regis in some of his training in Los Angeles. Can you also speak to his readiness for this world title fight?
I mean, he's always ready. He's the hardest worker I know. He's always in the gym when he's not in camp. And, you know, he was bugging me for the date for the fight since the last fight ended. So, you know, he's been preparing. Finally, we got out to LA to start the camp about 6 weeks from today, I guess. And we got the last 2 weeks coming up. You know, he's in the prime of his career. You're witnessing a fight in the prime of his career who's ready to collect them belts. And he's ready to get that WBA belt on April 27th.
Fantastic. Thanks very much, Sam. Nancy, if you would be so kind as to give the instructions once again to the media to join the Q&A, and I'll turn it over to Brian Karpus, who will moderate the Q&A.
Thank you. I will now begin the question and answer session. To ask a question, you may press star, then 1 on your touch-tone phone. If you are using a speakerphone, please pick up your handset before pressing the keys. To withdraw your question, please press star, then 2. At this time, we will pause momentarily to assemble our roster. The first question comes from Stephen Mudhalson from Sporting News. Please go ahead.
Regis, thank you for taking time out today. It really means a lot so close to the fight. And I caught the last part of what you were saying, and I just wanted to get your thoughts about staying in the tournament because there have been a lot of difficulties and one questions of whether the tournament would continue. What was the decision in your mind of not just to bow out and take different fights with the tournament being in flux at that time?
Well, like I said, my whole thing, I really just want to stay in the tournament, just because I know my next fight was for the belt, you know. So basically, if I wasn't in the tournament, even with all the other belt holders out there, I don't think that I would have a shot at the belt next, basically. So for the next fight, I think they would probably give me the runaround, with whoever I would try to chase. If I would try to chase after Hooker or Ramirez or whoever, I think they would have gave me the runaround. So my thing. I wanted to stay in the tournament because my next fight was for the WBA title. So I really wanted, I really want those belts no matter what. So that's why my whole thing is, I really want to stay in the tournament because my next fight is for the official belt, for the WBA belt.
You look at Relikh, and he did miss, the weight limit that you guys both had. And does that concern you at all that when it comes to weigh-ins next Friday, are you and your team concerned at all that he's not pulling them?
He's not gonna make weight. It don't concern me. I can't control. It's something that I can control. All I can do is control myself. I'm good on my weight. I'm perfect. So as far as him, the fight is gonna happen. It's gonna. I feel like it's gonna happen no matter what. It has to happen. I will fight for the title no matter what. So if he misses the weight, whatever. I can't concern myself with what he does. So I'm really not worried about if he misses the weight or not. So. All I can do is control me. So, that's it. I just, but as far as me being worried, no, I'm not worried. I'm not worried about none of that stuff.
What's the goal for you in this tournament and your goal at 140 pounds? You look at Terrence Crawford. He was the last guy. He was the undisputed champion at 140 pounds. Is that the same mindset that you're having in this tournament? Get those 2 belts, then go fishing and go get the other 2 belts.
Yeah, of course, exactly. Like I said, that's why I signed up for the tournament because it'll be, it's 2 belts in 3 fights. Most of the time you don't get that. And of course after the tournament, then I don't want to really jump too far ahead in the future, but after the tournament, yeah, I do want to do the same thing Crawford did if I can. Of course, sometimes in the sport you might, you do have to go through politics and stuff like that. So. If I get the chance to fight for all the belts, then of course that's what I want, but in due time. But if it doesn't happen, then I'll just go up to 147. If they taking too long, if they beating around the bush and don't want to give me an opportunity to fight for all the belts, then I feel like I would, I'll go up to 147. But yeah, that is my goal to fight for all the belts. I do want to be undisputed, and I do want to have all the belts at 140. Same thing Crawford did, but I feel like if I do it, if I have the chance to do it, then it'll be more impressive than when he did it because of his competition and than my competition. I think it's better champions right now at 140 than it was when he was around at 140. No disrespect to him. Of course, he cleaned the division out. But you're talking about people like Julius Ndango. Julius Ndango had 2 belts, and I knocked him out in 2 rounds. So if I think now. I just think the belt holders right now are better than his competition. So, of course, I want to do the same thing. If I get the opportunity to do it and if the time is right, then, yeah, that's what I want to do. But I'm not going to – I know I'm not going to wait around and chase people. I do want the belts, but I'm definitely not going to chase people, especially after the tournament is done. And I can – if I have a chance to go to 147, then, I'll do that. But, we'll see. We'll see what happens.
And just one more question, and you once again you're getting to fight in your area, not your hometown, but you're getting to fight in your neck of the woods. And what does it mean to you in back-to-back tilts that you get? It's more and less it's a home game for you. So what does all that mean to you?
It's perfect. We had an opportunity to we had opportunities to go in like different places and stuff like that. But I'm glad that it's for being Lafayette, for being my home state. And although it's not in the hometown, I'll definitely have a lot of home support because it is in my home state. So I'm glad it's in Lafayette, and then it is halfway between Houston and halfway between New Orleans. So I think that's even better, because the people from Houston don't have to travel that far to go, and then the people in New Orleans don't have to travel that far to, and the best of both worlds to beat up together right in the middle.
Thank you, Regis, and the best of luck next weekend.
Thank you.
The next question comes from Carlos Toro from Spiteful. Please go ahead.
Hi, Regis. Thank you so much for taking time to talk to us. Really appreciate it. My first question is, I know it's a lot of fighters, when they're approaching a world title fight, and obviously winning the world title is enough motivation on its own, but is there maybe perhaps any extra motivation knowing that after this fight, if you do win, there's a guaranteed shot at another world title down the line later this year?
Well, in this tournament, it's supposed to be, in this tournament, it's supposed to be 2 belts. So after this fight, it's for the WBA belt, and then the next fight is supposed to be for the IBF. So yeah, it's supposed to be back to back. It's supposed to be back to back belts. So that's what I'm looking forward to.
I know earlier you said that you wanted the World Boxing Super Series to continue because of the promise of 2 world titles. But in the last few months, was there maybe perhaps any frustration from your end, wondering if the tournament was going to continue, or I guess any uncertainty on your end that the tournament was going to continue?
Yeah, I mean, at first it was kind of frustrating because at first they told me it was gonna be one thing, it's gonna be a quick turnaround with the tournament, and it just wasn't happening. So I just kept bugging my manager Sam. I was like, what's going on? What's gonna happen with the fight? I'm ready to start training camp, and I just had a whole lot of stuff planned. So I was just ready to start my training camp. So it was frustrating at first, but I kept busy. Most of the time I stayed in the gym, and I'm glad that it turned out the way it turned out. But yeah, it was kind of frustrating at first, just because we didn't know what was going on, and a lot of people doubt that it was even gonna happen. But for me, I stayed solid on what I wanted to do. I really want to stay in the tournament, and I just kept telling, I told Sam, look, my first choice is to stay in the tournament. No matter what, that's my first choice, to stay in the tournament. But we were just looking at the dates, and the dates end up lining up right. So, that's, we understand the tournament. I'm glad it happened.
Lastly, I know you faced a lot of solid names in the past year or so, from Julius Ndondo to Terry Flanagan, but heading into this fight for your first world title, your first top world title, would you consider this the biggest fight of your career thus far?
Yes, definitely. I think so. As far as like him being the best fighter of my career, I don't know. I wouldn't know until I get in the ring with him. But as far as I think it is the biggest, because this is my first chance at a world title. So this is definitely, for me, this is the biggest fight of my career.
Thanks, Regis. Best of luck on April 27th.
Thank you.
The next question comes from Ian Ozin from ESPN. Please go ahead.
Hi there, with ESPN 1420 in Lafayette, Louisiana. And as someone who's watched boxing here in the States, saw what it once was, and now it's still around, but on a smaller scale. When you see that you're bringing professional boxing back to Louisiana on such a big scale, what does it mean for you to be able to bring world-class championship boxing to your home state?
Yeah, it's definitely an honor. That's kind of, since I moved to Houston, I always thought about, New Orleans and Louisiana and bringing it back. Of course, I moved to Houston because Hurricane Katrina and the gyms and stuff. For me, I felt that the gyms was a better fit for me. And the training out here in the sparring and all the fighters were better, so that's why I stayed. But I always thought about bringing it back. So now I have the chance and opportunity, and I'm just the goals I had is just I shattered all the goals I had. Basically, I'm way past the goals I had. So I'm just glad, and I'm definitely honored that I'm doing this, especially on the stage that I'm the stage I'm on right now. The World Boxing Super Series is just a real big thing right now in boxing. I feel it's a real good thing in boxing, and for that to be coming to Louisiana, this is historical. Like I'm making history. And that's crazy. I'll be in the history books in Louisiana for having we having unification fights in Louisiana at the Cajundome. So for me, that's like all that is historical, and I'm glad to be. Of course, I'm glad to be a part of it. Sometimes it feels like a dream, but I can't think of it right now. I gotta wait till after the fight to really, get happy about it, I guess.
going into this fight with Kiryl, what do you think is going to be the biggest challenge going up against him? What's going to be the biggest challenge when you're in the ring against him?
To be honest, I don't know. I don't study my opponents. I let my trainer Bobby do that. So I'll see. I always say I'll see after the fight. I'll tell people what happens after the fight, and if because I don't study none of my opponents. I only watched him fight one time. That was it. And I sat next to him at the in Moscow for the finals of the World Boxing Super Series. But as far as him, I don't know him as an opponent. I don't know him as a person. I don't know nothing about him. I only saw him like a couple of times in my whole life. So, I don't know what they expect from him. I always go out there and I just do what I got to do and make adjustments on the fly. Whenever I feel like I need to make adjustments, that's when I'll do it. But I think the biggest thing is nobody wants to lose their title, so he gonna come out there and he gonna fight as hard as he can. And another thing is that I'm the number one seed. I'm number one seed in the tournament. I'm number one in the world right now. So everybody that's coming to fight me is training like they never trained before. Probably, they don't want to. They know I'm a dangerous opponent, so they all coming out there and they doing their best and they gonna bring their A game no matter what. So I think the most the biggest challenge is gonna be like his mindset basically, because he's coming out there and he's not gonna lay down. Of course nobody goes and lay down, but he doesn't want to lose the title. He is the champion, so he doesn't want to lose the title, and he's fighting number one seed in the tournament. So that's two big factors that that he wants to overcome.
You mentioned the desire to unify the titles in the lightweight division, but if it weren't to happen, you'd move up. Somewhere down the road, would you like to move up to fight Terrence Crawford?
Of course. I wanted to fight Terrence Crawford when I was at 140, and I just happened to just be coming up, and he happened to be leaving out. So, of course, in the future at 147, that'll be the fight that I really want, one of those, one of these days. And me and him, we friendly and we cool with each other. But of course, when it comes to the ring, we gonna try to, knock each other's heads off. So yeah, I definitely in the future, that's something that I think that I want. I want to fight him just because he is so good, and I'm a competitor, and I want to always test myself against, the best. At the end of the day, when all this is said and done, when my career is over, all people gonna say is like, who did you fight? Who did you beat? And that's the main thing I think about all the time. Who did you fight? Who did you beat? And so I think that'll be a real good name, to have on my resume, basically. So that's why I want to fight, because like I said, that's why I want to fight, because he is that. Because I do have him as one of the best in the world.
Awesome. Thank you. We appreciate it. We'll see you in a couple of weeks, Regis.
Thank you.
The next question comes from Jeremy Haragas from fansided.com. Please go ahead.
Hi, Regis. Thank you for taking the time to talk today. Kiryl Relikh has 2 losses on his record. I was wondering if that makes you view him differently, or does that make you feel like they were both by decisions? Does that give you an incentive to be one of the first people to knock him out?
I think so. The thing is, I never really have a game plan going into the fight. I always just go out there and do me. It all depends on what I feel like doing on fight night. On fight night, I might feel like I'm a savage, and I just want to go out there and just knock his head off and get him out of there. Or sometimes, like my last fight against Flanagan, I didn't have no game plan going into the fight. I just started. As soon as I got in the fight, as soon as I got in the ring, fight night, I just was like, you know what? I feel like boxing 12 rounds. I don't even feel like getting hit today, and I feel like boxing 12 rounds, and that's exactly what I did. But I know if you look at when I fought Julius Ndongo, everybody was asking me would I try to go out there and outdo Crawford, because Crawford knocked him out in the 3rd round. And, at first I was like, man, that's going to be hard to knock somebody out before the 3rd round. Leading up to the fight, I really didn't plan on trying to outdo Crawford. But when I got in the ring, I just was like, all right, I'm going to outdo him. And I did. I outdid him. I knocked him out a round before he did. So It all depends on me what I feel like doing that night. I really, like I said, I never really have a game plan because I can do so many different things in the ring. So it all depends. When I get in the ring, it all depends on for me what I feel like doing that night. What I feel like showing the crowd, and so if I go out there and feel like I'm gonna stop them, then that's what I'll do. But I might go out there and I might want to just be slick and just box and don't get touched, and that's what I do. So for me, when I'm in the ring, I'm the boss. I do whatever I want. So like I said, we'll see come fight night what I feel like doing. So my training, I prepare to do all kinds of different things. I try to box different ways, and so fight night comes, I can just bring out whatever I want.
So I think that's very interesting when you talk about how you kind of create the game plan as you go. As far as your preparation with Bobby, does he give you different types of styles that you can bring into the ring, or is there one preferred method that he advises you to take, or how does that relationship work between his advisement of you and what you end up doing?
Well, yeah, he'll tell me different things that should work against him. But as far as that goes, because he's the one that watches the tape. I don't watch the tape on him, so he knows, his, I wouldn't say weaknesses, I'll say tendencies, like what he does, what he'll consistently do wrong, or not even wrong, but with some things that he might consistently do that maybe I can capitalize off. But yeah, we work on different things. We work on a lot of different things that'll work, and even other things too that just keep working on different game plans. So it's just we work on a whole bunch of stuff in the gym.
Last question. Assuming that you go throughout this entire tournament, you have the Muhammad Ali Trophy, you're the champion. Would you say that this tournament alone gives you the best resume in the entire super lightweight division?
Definitely, yeah, definitely. I mean, if you look at the other champions right now, you just look at their opponents, and I feel like nobody's impressed. Nobody's impressed with who they're fighting right now. You look at Marisa, but nobody's impressed. You look at Jose Ramirez, nobody's impressed except the people in Fresno. And not saying I'm not saying they're fighting bad, like real bad opponents or nothing like that. But they're not fighting the type of opponents I'm fighting. They're not fighting the type of people that I'm fighting. So I feel like, in this World Boxing Super Series, we fighting top competition. We fighting real top competition. Kiryl Relikh, right now, I'm ranked number 8. I'm going by the Ring magazine, but I'm ranked number 1, and Relikh is ranked number 4. If you look, if you go by that, no other champion, which is, none of the other champions are fighting nobody even in the top 10. None of them, So, yeah, that's kind of, I think that, after the tournament, I will be viewed as, if people already view me as the best, but I think it'll be solidified at the tournament that I am the best super lightweight in the world.
Thank you, Regis, and best of luck.
The next question comes from Eddie Goldman from No Holds Barred. Please go ahead.
Thank you very much. Hi, Regis. I want to ask you why you don't watch video of your opponents, because you can only tell so much by looking at their record on paper, going to box rec. I mean, for example, when Relikh fought Barthélemy the first time, it's listed as a loss, but everybody that saw that fight thought he won the fight, and then when they had the rematch, he clearly won the fight, so you can only tell so much. But is there a reason you don't watch the video beforehand?
Yeah, I mean, simply because I don't want to trick myself, basically. I don't want to look at a fight and think that, because sometimes I might look at a fight and I think, oh man, that might be an easy fight, and and sometimes it won't be an easy fight. It's just for me, it's a mind game. I want to think that every time I fight, it's gonna be the best version of them every time. So that's why for me, I don't look at tapes. And another thing, you can't, from looking at tapes, you cannot judge how hard somebody hit. You can't judge how quick they are. You can't judge their heart. You can't judge their ring intelligence. You really can't judge that from looking at the fight. You only feel that when you get inside the ring with the fighter. So for me, I just don't want to trick myself, because I watch sometimes I watched fights of my opponents, and I felt like I tricked myself. Early on coming up, I watched my opponents and stuff, and I kind of would trick myself. You know, I think they're sometimes I might think they're better than they really are, or sometimes I might think they're worse than they really are. So you're only gonna know how good they really are when you get in there with them from the first couple of rounds. So that's why I really don't like to watch my opponents.
Another thing on this tournament, you touched on it a little before, but if you look at last year, the winners, Usyk at cruiserweight was virtually everybody's fighter of the year, and Callum Smith at super middleweight is pretty much considered by most people the top super middleweight in the world and really became internationally known. Is that part of the reason for staying in this tournament, because of the prestige of winning it that comes from it?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I mean, like I said, the tournament is a good platform right now for fighters. You know, if you really want to prove who is the best in the world, then this is a real good platform. So yeah, that's why I stayed in it. And another thing is because my next fight was it. The tournament promised 2 belts was gonna be in the tournament. So why wouldn't I? If I want the belts, I want to, at least 2 of them was in there. We couldn't get all 4, but 2 of them was in the tournament. So that's why, that was my whole thing. That's my whole thing for staying, because, I want the belts and the prestige.
And we know there's obviously a lot of politics in boxing, and some of the 140-pound belt holders entered, and some of them didn't. What would you say to some of the people that either they or their handlers turned down participating in the World Boxing Super Series tournament?
Yeah, I mean, I just think they scared to compete. They were scared to get it. You look at Ramirez. He had a multi-million-dollar deal, and he's not making that right now. He had a multi-million-dollar offer to enter into the tournament. But he had just got the belt, so of course, he didn't want to lose it. To fight higher competition. And I feel like the people that entered into the tournament, they want to compete. The people that entered, they just want to be competitive, and they want to, they just want to prove that they're the best. And I feel like that's what boxing is about, prove that you're the best. And it's not like, oh, we proving that we the best without no type of big reward. No, we getting a whole lot of money. Everybody know we getting a lot of money, and it's 2 belts on the line. So I feel like this is the ultimate proving ground. Why not enter into the tournament? So I feel like the champions that didn't enter into the tournament, I feel like they only hurt themselves. If you want to be known as a good fighter, you got to push yourself. And I feel like they only hurt themselves by not entering into this tournament, because this is going to be, this is proving that you're the best. You're getting paid, and it's a lot of prestige, and you're getting a lot of exposure and considered to be the best. So, the other people, of course, all I'm just talking about, the other people is only 2 people, which is Ramirez and Hooker. People, most people don't look at them as being real champions. They just look at them as being a title holder for right now, but they don't really look at them as being champions right now. So I look at the people in the tournament, they all want to prove how good they are, and, same thing with myself, and that's why we enter into the tournament, so, that's how it is.
And last thing, do you want to make a prediction for this fight with Relikh?
And the new WBA super lightweight champion of the world. That's all I got to say. I can't say, I don't know if I'm going to knock him out or outbox him or what. Like I said, I don't go into the fight with a plan like that. I have so many different game plans, and I go on the fly. I go off my instincts and what, just what comes out, basically, whatever I feel like doing. But I don't feel like, if you ask me if I feel like I'm going to lose, that's not going to happen. I definitely feel like I'm going to win. So by knockout, I don't know. We'll see. But I can't really predict that. I'm not Ali. I fight with Ali Tro, but I ain't as great as Ali. I can't predict the rounds.
All right. Good luck in the fight.
Thank you.
The next question comes from Ted Lewis from The Advocate. Please go ahead. Pardon me, sir. We have James Bell, the boxing source. Please go ahead.
All right, Brother Regis, you were talking about,
the fights around that area. What does that mean to you, and how does that kind of, diminish the pressure since you fought around your hometown the past few times over the past few years?
Yeah, I mean, it's great. Of course, it's not my hometown, but it is, it is great because you have, I think you got the best of both worlds. You got the people from, I live in Houston right now, you got the people from Houston, they can drive 2.5, 3 hours. You got the people, I'm from New Orleans, you got my people in New Orleans, they can drive 2.5, 3 hours. And, everybody can come. So I think that, I think it should be a real good show.
Yeah, no doubt. Now you said that you don't really, study your fighters before those fights go down. So what does it mean to have this type of record, be undefeated, while not necessarily, studying for your fighters ahead of time, just making, adjustments on the fly? Does that account to your overall ability as a boxer in the ring?
Yeah, I mean, well, my trainer studied the people. Bobby, he studied my opponents, but for me, it's just my ability. I know what I can do. I feel like I've been in the ring with so many different styles, and I have so much good sparring. That's the thing. My sparring is so good. I'm not sparring with, as you can say, tomato cans. I'm sparring with top-notch people every time. Like Olympians and, #1 fighters in the world, as amateurs and stuff like that, and even real good solid professionals. So I think I credit that, like I said, I credit all that stuff, to my sparring, and I know my ability. I know what I can do, so I feel like I don't have to study nobody because I know exactly what I can do.
All right, thank you there, Regis, and good luck in the World Boxing Super Series.
All right, thank you.
The next question comes from Ted Lewis from The Advocate. Please go ahead.
Yeah, we just got driving across the staff line to Lafayette. Call failed right as they shot to me. But I'm curious to know about that. You talked about the facts leading up. Where would the fight be? So how difficult was it for you to put all that behind you and go into training camp and do like you usually do?
It wasn't difficult. That's some things that really you can't control and stuff like that. So for me, that was all, I let the business people handle their stuff, and, I handle my own stuff, So just going to training camp, I love training anyway. I love going to training camp. So for me, it wasn't, it wasn't hard. I put all that stuff aside and let them deal with what they got to deal with. My job is to fight. My job is not to go out there and do the political side of things, as you might say. I go out there. My job is to go out there and perform, and I go to training camp, get ready to perform, and then to go perform. So for me, none of that stuff. I wasn't worried about none of that stuff. I just worried about going out there and doing my thing.
How much, as you progress, and you obviously got experienced trainer and management and so forth, how much are you taking control of your own career, would you say?
I'm taking a lot of control now, as far as marketing and stuff like that. If sometimes if the promoters or whatever not marketing it how I want it to go, I'll do it myself. I put my own dollars. I always invest into myself. That's what you're always supposed to do. You invest into yourself no matter what. So I go out there and I put my own money out there and get that stuff, get that stuff done myself. It's an old saying: if you want something done right, do it yourself. So of course we got people that we got professional people that's supposed to do all that stuff, and they do it. But if I need some other stuff done, I got people that I got my own team, that they go out there and do the stuff for me if I need it to be done.
Well, speaking of that, then next week in Lafayette, there's always the last couple of fights in New Orleans. You did a lot of promotional stuff that when the interview turned down or anything like that. Did you feel like that took away from your effort in the ring? And considering the caliber of opponents you got and the stakes and everything, are you going to trim back a little bit next week, or are you just going to be that, hey, Regis, need to talk to you, come over here, do this, do that?
Nah, that stuff didn't bother me. Last time, as long as I mean, as far as like the media stuff, the interviews and stuff, that was cool. You know, as long as I don't get pulled to the side to go to no parties or nothing like that, or no clubs or nothing like that to try to promote the fight, then I'm cool. You know, all that stuff is that's easy stuff for me. You know, so it didn't. I don't think nothing took away from my performance at all. Either. Really, matter of fact, my last fight, I was so comfortable in the ring. That's why I boxed for 12 rounds, because I was so comfortable, because I was so loose. So. That for me, that stuff, don't bother me. And if it does bother me, I'll tell him. I'll tell Bobby, look, tell him, chill out. This is too much for me. I don't want to do it. And then, then we'll cut it. But as far as like last time, everything was good. I think some people came up with some ideas that was, maybe I was just like, nah, I'm not gonna do that. And I just tell Bobby, look, let's tell him chill out. We don't need to do that. Like just tell him chill. So. When I need to cut it, then I'll cut it. But as far as I'll usually be all right till. But like I said, when I need to chill out, then I know when to chill.
The next question comes from Jake Donovan from BoxingScene.com. Also, we ask our participants to limit themselves to 2 to 3 questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Most of my questions have been asked. I only have one. You mentioned earlier that I'll leave when it comes to prediction, but I noticed the campaign of referring to you as the modern day Duran. I just want to know what you think about the comparisons to Roberto Duran and how they actually came about.
I mean, I think the whole comparison came about because I think I'm just putting people out, just like Duran was. I think, if I'm not mistaken, when he was 23, he had the same amount of knockouts, 19 knockouts or 20 knockouts or something like that. So I think that's where the comparison comes from. And at the same time, that's one of my favorite fighters. That's somebody I watch on a like consistently. I'm always watching Duran. I love Duran. I love his style and stuff like that. So I think that's why I come from, the modern day Duran. Bernie took it in. He ran with it. I told him, that's like one of my favorite fighters. I just love Duran, and I have a big punch just like him. So I think that's where that came from.
Very cool. That was it. Everything else has been asked. Best of luck next week. Looking forward to seeing you.
Thank you.
Got it.
Thanks very much to the media, Nancy. Thanks very much for your help, and Brian, too. We're going to let Regis make a couple closing comments here, and then we're going to let him get back to his training down in Houston. Go ahead, Regis.
First I just want to thank everybody, listen to what I got to say. I know sometimes I talk a lot, but y'all supposed to listen. That's your job, so it's perfect. But anyways, I just can't wait. This is my first, for me, this is the biggest fight of my career, just because it's my first shot at an official title. This is what everybody wants. Everybody start boxing to be a world champion, and this now, this is, my chance, basically. So, I go into the training every time I go into training camp, it's always going to be hard. It's always tough. But I'm just looking at this fight as like the biggest of my career, just simply because this is my first fight for a major title. And I just can't wait. I can't wait the next Saturday to go out there and do me and, and come back with the title. Go out there and be impressive and come back with the title. And, like I said, just out there on top of the world after that, So I just can't wait, and I'm glad the World Boxing Super Series stayed in it. Everything stayed together. It was falling apart at first, but it stayed together, and I'm glad because it is it's exactly what I want to prove that I'm the best out there, and just because of my competitive spirit, I love to compete. I never want to be considered one of those paper champions. I never want to be considered one of the fake champions. I want to be considered the real deal, the best. So that's why I'm in it, and that's why that's why I stayed in it, and I just can't wait to get my first title.
Thanks very much, Regis. Thanks very much to the media for joining us. On behalf of DiBella and DiBella Entertainment, this will be Saturday, April 27th, live on the DAZN. Regis Prograis against Kiryl Relikh, the 140-pound championship, live from the Cajundome in Lafayette, Louisiana. Thank you again. Good night.
Thank you.
The conference is now concluded. Thank you for attending today's presentation. You may now disconnect.
I don't have a lot of time. So what we're gonna do is we gotta end this stream, and then we're gonna start again in about 5 minutes. Danny Garcia and Adrian Granados are starting. So I'm ending right now, and I'm starting back up. I got to do a little bit of logistics. So give me like 5 minutes. You're going to see the link pop up. Yeah, unfortunately, the media call lasted longer than I expected it was going to last. So we don't have time to do a preview yet. So I'll be right back.